Today is Wednesday, August 19th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today out of the Big Book, we are on More About Alcoholism. We'll be reading page 38. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on Step 5. We'll read the rest of page 59 and page 60. And of course, we'll read NA's Just for Today and Al-Anon's Courage to Change. So with that, hope y'all are doing well this beautiful Wednesday morning. I don't know, I about said Saturday morning. I guess it's wishful thinking, I'm not sure. No, but it is hump day already. We're halfway there. And the nice thing is that we just got to worry about, or I've just got to worry about this set of 24 hours. You know, it's currently about 6 o'clock as I'm recording this, so I've only got, 18 hours to go to work the program? So that's exciting. That's manageable for this old drunk. But with that, let's go ahead and get to the good stuff. All right, my friends. So if you recall from the last couple of days of reading in More About Alcoholism, we've spent a lot of time talking about this problem, the crux of the problem centering in our brains, right? The mental obsession here, or the insanity. And first we talked about Jim, who had willingly quit drinking alcohol for years. And then when he retired, he picked the bottle back up and his addiction had at least maintained, if not progressed. And he was dead within 4 years because of it. Very sad situation. And then now we're getting an extreme example of a jaywalker here, and how he swears that he's going to quit jaywalking and everything. And yet as soon as he gets out of the hospital after prior injuries jaywalking, he does it again. And it sounds extreme, but, well, I know for my drinking that if I was to substitute it, oh yeah, that was me. Still can be me. So we're on page 38. On through the years, this conduct continues, accompanied by his continual promises to be careful or to keep off the streets altogether. Finally, he can no longer work. His wife gets a divorce and he is held up to ridicule. He tries every known means to get the jaywalking idea out of his head. He shuts himself up in an asylum, hoping to mend his ways. But the day comes that he races out in front of a fire engine, which breaks his back. Such a man would be crazy, wouldn't he? You may think our illustration is too ridiculous, but is it? We, who've been through the ringer, have to admit that if we substituted alcoholism for jaywalking, the illustration would fit us exactly. However intelligent we may have been in other respects, where alcohol has been involved, we've been strangely insane. It's strong language, but isn't it true? Some of you are thinking, yes, what you tell us is true, but it doesn't fully apply. We admit that we have some of these symptoms, but we've not gone to the extremes you fellows did, nor are we likely to. For we understand ourselves so well after what you have told us that such things cannot happen again. We have not lost everything in life through drinking, and we certainly do not intend to. Thanks for the information. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on Step 5. Admit it to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. And yesterday we talked about only by discussing ourselves holding back nothing, only by being willing to take advice and accept direction could we set foot on the road to straight thinking, solid honesty, and genuine humility. And then we left off with a series of questions like, why can't we just tell God this? So we're going to answer that question today. So we're on the bottom of page 59 and we'll read page 60. At this stage, the difficulties of trying to deal rightly with God by ourselves are twofold. Though at first we may be startled to realize that God knows all about us, we're apt to get used to that quite quickly. Somehow being alone with God doesn't seem as embarrassing as facing up to another person. Until we actually sit down and talk aloud about what we have so long hidden, our willingness to clean house is still largely theoretical. When we are honest with another person, it confirms that we've been honest with ourselves and with God. The second difficulty is this. What comes to us alone may be garbled by our own rationalization and wishful thinking. The benefit of talking to another person is that we can get his direct comment and counsel on our situation. And there can be no doubt in our minds what that advice is. Going it alone in spiritual matters is dangerous. How many times have we heard well-intentioned people claim the guidance of God when it was all too plain that they were sorely mistaken? Lacking both practice and humility, they had deluded themselves and were able to justify the most errant nonsense on the ground that this was what God told them. It is worth noting that people of very high spiritual development almost always insist on checking with friends or spiritual advisors the guidance they feel that they have received from God. Surely then, a novice ought to not lay himself open to the chance of making foolish, perhaps tragic blunders in this fashion. While the comment or advice of others may be by no means infallible, it is likely to be far more specific than any direct guidance we may receive while we are still so inexperienced in establishing contact with a power greater than ourselves. NA just for today, August 19th. First things first. We apply effort to our most obvious problems and let go of the rest. We do the job at hand, and as we progress, new opportunities for improvement present themselves. Basic text, page 56. It has been said that recovery is simple. All we got to do is change everything. That can seem a pretty tall order, especially when we first arrive in Narcotics Anonymous. After all, not many of us showed up at our first meeting because our lives were in great shape. On the contrary, a great many of us came to NA in the midst of the worst crises of our lives. We needed recovery, and quick. The enormity of change required in our lives can be paralyzing. We know we can't take care of all that needs to be done, not all at once. How do we start? Chances are we've already started. We've done the first, most obvious things that needed to be done. We've stopped using drugs, and we've started going to meetings. What do we do next? Pretty much the same thing, just more of it. From where we are, we do what we can. We walk the path of recovery by picking up our feet and taking the step that's right in front of us. Only when that's been accomplished must we concern ourselves with what comes next. Slowly but surely, we'll find ourselves making progress down the path, visibly drawing closer each day to becoming the kind of person we like to be. Just for today, I will walk the path of my recovery by taking the step right in front of me. Al-Anon's Courage to Change, August 19th. There was a piece of reality that I never wanted to see. I loved someone who couldn't be trusted. Again and again, I suffered the disappointment of broken promises, contradictions, and outright lies. Each time I felt crushed, betrayed, outraged. Nevertheless, hours and sometimes days later, I put the incident out of my mind. When the next promise was made, I trusted without hesitation with my whole heart. I continue to find it hard to accept that I can't trust the promises of someone I love. Yet, I see that most of my heartache has come from my own refusal to accept reality. Al-Anon helps me to trust my experiences more than the inconsistent words of others. I'm learning not to depend on someone who has been consistently untrustworthy, but at the same time realizing that that is no excuse to give up on the whole human race. Facing reality means accepting that many of my experiences in Al-Anon demonstrate that there are people upon whom I can rely. Today's reminder: today I make a commitment to be honest with myself. By facing reality, I become someone that I can depend upon. Awareness is so much better for me than closing out all feelings, shutting out all people, withdrawing from living. No matter how hard the truth is or what the facts are, I prefer to know, look at, and accept this day. Quote from As We Understood. All right, my friends, that concludes today's reading, and some beautiful stuff as always. First thing I love it, and then in the 12 and 12, it just gives reasons why it's beneficial to talk to another human being about some of our struggles, our character defects here. And I know, I get it. Like it at first it seems pretty scary, or at least it did for me. But there are reasons why this is beneficial. So it says right here, the second difficulty is this: what comes to us alone may be garbled by our own rationalization and wishful thinking. So if we try to do this alone, we may think, well, wait a minute, I didn't really do anything wrong. It was actually, if the more I think about it, it was the other person. I don't know any amends to anybody. As a matter of fact, I don't need to change at all. And then the next line, the benefit of talking to another person is that we can get his direct comment and counsel on our situation. And there can be no doubt in our minds what that advice is. And then a little further down, too, it's worth noting that people of very high spiritual development almost always insist on checking with friends or spiritual advisors the guidance that they feel that they've received from God. Surely then a novice ought to not lay himself to the chance of making foolish, perhaps tragic blunders in this fashion. I know for me, there have been times where I thought the right thing to do was XYZ. But I was like, let me run that by my sponsor or a trusted friend first, what I'm thinking about doing here, because I'm a people pleaser. I like to unify with people, let's all get along. And I like to do it, directly as soon as possible. But then when I would run it by a sponsor, like my plan, right? He'd go, ooh, Rob, I don't know if that's a good idea. Because by doing this and that, you may be affecting other people as well. And that's something I never thought about. We make direct amends wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. And my sponsor made me ask myself, are you doing this to benefit others? Or are you doing this to clear your own conscience? Are you doing this for yourself? And the more I thought about it, and I didn't know it, I was doing it for myself. It was to clear my own conscience, regardless of how it could affect others in the process. So just hearing that different perspective has really been a game changer for me. Another quick example is self-talk, right? A lot of times when I would be in my head about my job or something like that, what I do is I save every student letter that I've ever been given over my career, or at least I try to save every single one. And when I'm getting in my head and a little bit lost, I'll just pull out a letter and I'll read it. And I'll go, you know what? This is the evidence that I'm not a piece of garbage, that I'm not a terrible teacher, that I matter to this one. Sometimes my own thinking can be very flawed. So I got to look at the evidence objectively, the concrete evidence right in front of me. Or I need to talk to somebody who can snap me out of my own head or be of service to somebody else. Those things are the surefire things that help me to get out of my own stinking thinking. Great stuff. But my friends, that's all we have time for today. I hope you all have a great one. Please know, as always, I don't speak on behalf of NA, AA, Al-Anon, any other sect. I'm just a joyful drunk in this lifeboat of recovery, honored to be here another day. And if we're given another set of 24 hours, I sincerely look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.